I want to start the stream today with a moment's silence for George Floyd. Thank you. It is ivory black. Titanium white. Raw umber. This is bright yellow lake. Pigment is PY3. Yellow ochre. Cadmium yellow. Michael Harding, green gold. Excuse me. And this is Williamsburg quinacridone gold brown. So the colours of this white rose. It's a Vanessa Bell. It's called a Vanessa Bell rose. It's actually green yellow. This is too bright. It's closest to these colours here. Shadow colours move around the hue wheel towards orange. So although this is a very green yellow, these colours, as we move from light half tone into shadow, these colours are successively moving around towards orange yellow, more of a middle yellow, still quite green. These two chips and these two chips are the same hue, the same value, but higher chroma, because I may want more chroma in the shadow. I don't know if that's going to be the value I'm going to use, but that's about the chroma and the hue. I'm going to tone the panel first. This panel is it's an ampersand they call it gesso board. As it comes, it's a hard board that's been primed with acrylic primer, and I've given it a couple of coats of lead white primer in order to give it a less uniform texture and also a slicker surface with less tooth. So if there's there might be quite a bit of noise at the moment on the stream. It's the fan from the laptop mostly. So I'm going to tone this panel with something near the colour that I know I want for the shadow areas. After I've wiped it off, it will be a lot lighter, so I'll end up working into the background again some more. Brenda says, did you take each chip and compare it to the rose itself? Just these ones are compared to the rose itself. These were held up in front of the rose, the shadow area of the rose, with the colour isolated through this. I know that the value won't be right, and I'll have to change the values, but this is, you can take a chip like this and you can angle it towards or away from the light until you exactly match the colour you're looking for, and it will show you the hue and the chroma, and then you can decide on the value you want. Immediately I noticed that this surface is very different than the ampersand panels, and also from oil primed linen, because the texture of the brush strokes show much more. The panel is a little darker maybe. Yeah, perhaps it's okay. This roses, I got some recently and put them in pots to grow outside, so that through the summer I'll have roses to paint. I'm trying to decide where I want it to fit in the panel and how much I want it to take up. I think I'm just going to want it to be over to the side, off center. And with a lot of space around it. More maybe than I would usually have. So the main relationships I want to get sorted out with the shadow area against the light, against the background. So I'm going to mix up a couple of the colours now. And start to find, hopefully to find where they're going to work in the painting. This rose, I'm probably projecting my own personal feelings at the moment onto it, but this rose appears to be very sad to me. This seems to me to be a very horrendous time that we're living through. And I can't understand why people would close their eyes and ears to what's happening when people are dying. what I've put onto the panel to tone it is linseed oil first, and then I've made a mix of ivory black raw umber and green gold, mostly with a little bit of quinacridone gold brown. So this is too green at the moment, and chroma is a little bit too high, and the value is a shade too high, but I need to keep a high-ish value because I'll be bringing it up into the light, but where it goes right into the light, it probably won't have very much chroma. I'm going to keep a little bit of this back, swing it very slightly with a bit of cad yellow towards a slightly less green yellow. So this colour here, chroma is too low. Value has gone a bit too low. If you try and add chroma to higher chroma colours, mid to high chroma colours, it's very hard. If they're low chroma colours, it's not so hard. This is very low chroma, very close to neutral. A little more chroma and higher value, slightly higher value. That's it. I'll keep this back because it might be useful at some point. So this is my general light area. The very lightest parts can go up near white. Ordinarily, I would reserve a little bit of the value range right at the top for the highlight on the vase, but I'm not sure how much the vase is going to figure in this painting, really. Maybe a little. The last one that I did, the vase had almost disappeared, largely. Some people found it a little strange, but it felt right to me that it was that way. So I know the colour that I want, the hue is somewhere between these two. Can you see one of these is slightly more green and one of these is slightly more orange. This makes a difference. I'm going to go for the higher chroma, slightly higher chroma than I see it, because I find with shadows especially sometimes it's useful to very slightly overshoot the chroma, and I'll lose a little bit when I put it onto the panel anyway. So when I'm looking to match a colour, I'll do this one first. I look at the hue and the chroma and the value, all of those things at the same time, and try to see what I've got over here that's anywhere near. So, you know, I'm in the yellow range, that's my cad yellow. This is my yellow ochre. So the yellow ochre is slightly too dark. It's too orange. It needs to be more green. It needs to be lighter and higher chroma. So maybe I can get there by mixing some yellow ochre and shift it more green with this green yellow. Bring up the chroma and raise the value all at the same time. This would work just as well if you were not trying to match a colour exactly, if you just decided where you wanted a colour to go. That's pretty much it. The bit that matters a lot of the time, that the system of bracketing is not complicated. The bit that matters is understanding. You need to practice with it so that if you like the look of this method anyway, you need to practice with it so that you have an internal representation of the colour space in your brain, and you can move within it by thinking about hue, value and chroma, and then you can look at the colour that you have, look at the colour that you want to get to, even if the colour is in your mind's eye, and you can know which tube colours to use to get you there. So this one is more green, okay? So I'm going to start with yellow ochre again. But this time I'm going to take it a little bit more green with the green gold first. And then I'm going to bring it up with the yellow for a more green version. It doesn't need to be exact, it just needs to be at least this green. The hue doesn't need to be exact, because I'm going to be mixing between them anyway. Just too orange. So I'll bring in some more of the green and some more of this green yellow to take it much more green. Chroma is slightly higher, don't mind that. I may need to go down in value. I haven't decided yet where the value is going to be, but this gives me a starting point of a light and a shadow. That's all I need really to begin the way I tend to work. Oh, so Virginia.
Can I paint?
What is it?
Can I paint?
Huh? In here? Okay. What do you want to paint?
Yeah.
What do you want to paint?
Probably like a cube.
Sorry, I'm just going to be a couple of minutes. I've run out of the paper that we were using before, but you could try this.
Okay.
No, Senti.
Okay.
Okay, try this.
Okay.
Can you sort yourself out with some water and brushes and everything?
Yeah. I can.
The paint is down here.
Okay.
You might think about, do you remember the picture of the volcano?
Oh yeah.
Can you remember what it looks like? Can you remember the artist's name? Hokusai. It's Japanese. I'll show you it. Yeah, I think the wipeout looks rosy because I'm attempting to draw with it And it has there's something interesting about wiping out like this on a slick panel with an oil round. You get these very subtle variations. And my little fellow wants to paint me. We were looking at Hokusai painting of a volcano. Here, look, you can see it there. So you might want to try. Have you got enough space here?
Yeah, I just have this.
Do you want it? You're going to need some kitchen roll, huh? Here, you can have some of this.
I'll get myself some water.
Well done. You've got it all together.
I'm not that unorganised.
So I'm just thinking about brushes I want to go in here, but I think the first thing I want to put in is the shadow area. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get value scale and this, and I'm gonna compare the general value of the shadow of the rose, the shadow area of the rose, to the background. You alright?
Yeah, what was the guy's name again? Because if you're going to have to keep
Hokusai.
Hokusai. Okay, I'll get my phone and type it up.
Oh, okay, good plan. And I'm going to compare the value of the shadow of the rose to the main two values of the background on the left and the right. And that will pretty much decide me. I know I want this value over here to be very dark. That will pretty much decide me what the relationships are going to be in value terms of the shadows area of the rose to the rest. This is a value 4, just below halfway down the scale. So I can hold this up like this. Imagine I was holding it over the actual rose, tip it until the value matches exactly, and then scan across and see what else is the same value, and it gets me in the right kind of value area quite quickly. I've chosen too dark a value. Let me pick up 6. You tell me if you need anything, okay? So it's very slightly lighter than the lightest part of the background over here. So the dark part of the background. I just want a note of that in. It's a bit like, this is a little bit like putting in your lightest light and your darkest dark at the beginning, but I'm looking for a value scheme. Not really thinking too much about whether there's going to be room for the vase or everything in there at the moment. But I am thinking about the drawing of the rose. And this is in the wrong place.
do.
Cool. You got the picture to look at?
I had the picture, but it just turned off.
Ah.
Yeah, I have it. Oops.
Oh. So you might want to have a look at the picture and see what colours you think you might need.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
What do you think you might need?
Red, white, blue,
Yeah.
and then green.
And you can perhaps try to draw out where it would go, because if you look at that painting, there's something very interesting about it, I think. You see how Hokusai, the artist who painted it,
Yeah.
like if you were going to do a volcano, right? Where would you put it in the paper?
I'd probably put it in the middle.
In the middle, right? Where has he put his?
On the right.
And it's not a little bit on the right, is it? It's like right over to the side. So maybe you could see if you can do that too, and see how it looks to you.
It's going to be a big volcano, that's what I have to say.
That's good.
I need a pencil just to do the outline.
So this value here is very slightly higher than the value, very slightly lower, sorry, than the value I've got on the side here. So this value would need to come down. I'm just going to maybe it looks too yellow. I want to change that. The chroma is maybe high. Let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't have a plan for this painting. I don't really know at the moment where it's going to go. If it's just going to be a sketch, or if I'm going to work on it for significantly longer. If I'm going to carry on working from the photo after the rose has died, or if I would leave it. I want to drop it in chroma around this side, so I'm going to mix into the background colour I've got here. I'm going to mix a little bit of titanium white and ivory black, and I need it to be darker than this value here, so that it shows very slightly. Just trying to set up a value scheme for the picture. I don't have anything definite in mind at the moment. This is too yellow. Perhaps, I'm not sure. This is a Rosemary's brush I'm using at the moment. It's a hog, flat, splayed badly, but I was very disappointed when I got it. But for some things it's quite useful to have a splayed brush. It adds texture well. Just beginning to think about where I might be adding more. Let's go high chroma in the shadow. You alright, big lad?
Yeah.
That was a big sigh. What was the sigh for?
How my volcano is turning out to be.
Sorry?
How my volcano is turning out to be.
Well, I would suggest that maybe you've started a little bit small. Do you want to use the whole paper?
Yeah, I'll use the whole paper.
Well, maybe the middle of the volcano is about there. And how far up the side is that? About halfway, would you say? So that would be about there. So maybe you would be coming in like this.
So like?
Not that high, maybe. I think you got the height right. That's very good.
Okay.
Maybe like this. Remember how you hold the pencil?
Yeah, I was holding it like this.
And then look at this side, and you can find that point there, where the volcano goes off the edge of the picture over here. Where do you think it is?
It's like here.
Yeah, right. So that means this side of the volcano has to go all the way up there.
So
That's really, it's looking really good, I think. I'm happy with how yellow this has come out. I'm going to take it out. Strange, I checked the, maybe I should stay with it. I checked the hue and the chroma, and that's where it was. But it feels wrong. Maybe it's just that the chroma is too high at that value. So I'm going to mix something that's a lot more green at the same value and chroma. So this time I'm just using the green gold, a little bit of titanium and PY3 bright yellow lake, very green yellow. So these are all roughly the same chroma and value, but going from more orange to more green. Maybe don't want to go all the way, so I can mix between them. Lost too much oil by wiping out some of that. Texture is gone. I really like this surface. The first time I've ever painted on exactly this surface. I like it very much. I have to make a bunch of these. So coming up into the light from the shadow, mixing between the light and the shadow, it comes out. It starts to lose chroma and turn more green, so I'm just using the green. It's a very neutral colour up there. I don't want to get too bogged down in it yet though. I want to think about putting in the light. Actually, some chroma. This is turning out to be highly experimental for me. Just thinking in general light and shadow terms. Definitely need some neutral now. Get these out of the way. This, if I tried to do this on this, even on the surface that I normally work on, I wouldn't get this finish that's happening now. This is something new for me. Immediately as the brush goes down, it introduces a lot of texture with this surface. It's hard to describe because it's slick, but it's not uniform. Because I smoothed the lead white over the surface of the panel with this. Drawing, isn't it? Okay. We'll give it a little bit of time. We'll change that. See, the reason I've been careful about the values here and the drop in the chroma here is because I want this deep translucent light to be showing here. So I'm trying to manage everything else really around this shadow.
I think Mum might be back, so I'll just go check.
Good lad.
Wasn't her.
How's your little brother, was he?
I think he's just chilling on his tablet.
Do you want to do me a favour and check on him quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Good lad. Does he want to paint?
No, I actually didn't ask him, but like, he's just taking monkey. He's trying to carve his head into a monkey. Like on like camera. I don't know why he's doing that.
Because he's crazy.
Probably.
So I'm going to mix up some neutrals quickly in the value range that I've got here.
I've made a great colour for the top.
A what colour, sorry?
A great colour for
Oh,
the
yeah.
top. See? Like, look, if you see there,
Looks great, yeah.
and then if you see here.
Whoa, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Well done.
And
Well
it's
done.
mixed.
What, you're doing it on here though?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because I can't mess around.
Don't like this?
No, it's fine. I just
Okay, but you should draw it out again to make sure that you're right. Look, so it starts halfway up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
goes up to about there, and then comes out from down there.
Okay.
So I would check, you know, always check and make sure. Like maybe that's not even right. Maybe that's even smaller. You know, just to get your outline. That's how they used to paint.
I'm only doing this is only for the top, yeah. So because this one is the top. There, on the top. Yeah. It's a bit more. So I need to mix it with white.
Take this slightly more towards yellow with some raw umber. Raw umber is a yellow-orange. Not a green. Let's get that out of the way. Someone mentioned Eugene Carrier the other day. Jeff, I don't know if you're here, Jeff. Say hi in the chat if you're here. And sent me off looking at his work again, and it's in my mind at the moment, and I wonder if it might come out a little bit in this. See. I kind of want to know where this leaf is going to go here, but not quite yet. So I can move between these to drop the chroma. So I generally lay them out like this, so that I go from light at the top to shadow at the bottom, and lay the paints out in the same order in value from light to dark, and then the chroma I can change across this way. want something between these. Still have some drawing problems. Should have been a bit more careful at the beginning, perhaps. This is an amazing surface. What's up, big lad?
It's not doing so bad.
You just got to keep going. I feel like that a lot about my paintings when I'm doing them. Just look for something that you can make better, and just try and make that thing better. What do you think is you're not happy about?
I don't have a good red.
Oh, I thought you mixed a good red, huh?
Yeah, for the top of it. I don't have red on it.
Well, look, that's all like one block, isn't it? And then this is all one block. So this red is great. Is it this one?
Yeah.
This one's the top? So that's all one block, isn't it? You didn't draw it out? No, look, you need to draw out the outline, otherwise it will go a bit funny, huh? So, and then this red here, I think you probably want the brightest red you can get, but you don't have any more room in your palette now. Because you used... You've got all of those are about... Yeah, they're about the same colour, aren't they? Yeah. Where's the other palette? Here it is, look. That's alright, so why don't you put out just some clean red with nothing else in here, and then get a fresh brush. And you probably want a big brush because you've got a lot of space to cover, so why don't you try that one?
Okay. That.
Oh, Lisa, the panel it's an ampersand. They call it gesso, Bob, but it's not gesso. It's just an acrylic primed hardboard, but I've primed over it with this kind of slightly sickle-shaped palette knife. I used Michael Harding Foundation White, which is a lead white primer. I'm going to bring the chroma down a little bit. Come on, the palette's getting a bit blown out. I think it's because the sun's starting to come into the room now. So this is why I started earlier today, although I did still start a little bit later than I meant to.
Because I done the top of the volcano.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's just how you want to do it, as a block. So if you find the shape, draw the shape.
It's the same.
So why don't you draw the outline of the shape first? But how far down does the red come? Does it go all the way to the bottom?
No.
So you could do that as well.
So it goes, let's just say it goes about here. I'm gonna use a dark colour again because it's a dark colour again, just for the for just a little bit there, some of it there. Now I just need a break. It's turning out alright.
It looks great. Seriously, it looks really good.
Does it?
Yeah. You just got to be slow and careful. And it will come out well.
I need a really light blue.
How do you mix a light blue?
How would I make a light blue?
How would you mix it?
White and blue?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly it. White and blue. If you start with the white and then put the blue into it, you'll end up with a very light blue. If you start off with the blue and then put the white into it, you'll end up with a darker blue. So if you want a very light one, probably put the white in first. What's up? You're struggling there a bit.
Now I got it. No, I should. Should I put a lot of white?
Well, how big is the space that you need to cover?
Pretty big.
Yeah? Yeah, put a lot of white out then.
Oh yeah, I made it like blue.
Good job.
But it's kind of not that really colour. I don't know. I don't know what colour it is, to be honest.
What?
This,
That bit there?
Yeah. No, they're just all of it.
Oh, that?
Yeah, just all of
That's
it.
like a dark green with a bit of black in it, I would say.
Oh, God.
So you got some green there and you got some black there. So you could pick up a little bit of your green and put it in there, but use a tiny bit of black because the black is very strong.
Okay. I'm gonna put up quite a bit. Like this.
Hang on a second, big lad.
Oh, that's why it's wobbly. Right.
I'm trying to sort out. I've drawn some stuff wrong on my painting. Now I'm trying to sort it out.
That's not good.
No, it's not good.
Oh. I made a dark one. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I have a good grade. to make it lighter. I need it really light.
How are you doing with your green?
I've made the green, and I've made a bit of a lighter one.
Did it work out alright?
Yeah, I guess so. What do you think?
Hang on a minute.
Green.
Awesome green.
See, that's where that one is. Cause
This is all the same though, right?
Oh.
Look, and the screen doesn't go up there, does it? Looks to me like the red comes all the way down here in a curve. And right up to the side. Can you see there? The red doesn't come off.
Oh, it is.
Can you see? Don't worry, don't be disappointed. This is easy to fix. Look. Just wipe it off. Simple, huh? I wipe stuff off all the time when I make a mistake. And then change it. Wipe it off really thoroughly and then you can paint. Still got a little bit of green in there.
Yeah.
So the wall of this shape is...
It's like so
All of this shape here, what colour is it?
this is gonna be red.
Yeah, so I would fill that in if I was you. Utterly wrong note.
There. I've done volcano now.
Brilliant. Now you see this edge here?
Yeah.
Is that a hard edge?
No,
Like that edge
it's
there?
really light.
It's really soft, huh? So let me show you something you can do. Get a soft brush. See if you can find a nice soft one.
How do you know that?
How do you know what? If it's soft?
Okay, yeah.
Just feel the end. This one's quite soft, look.
Oh yeah.
Let me show you something. Just dip it in a bit of water, take some of the water off, and then just go over the edge. You see how it's bleeding out and making it soft?
Yeah.
And then you stop. You don't want to do too much. You try. Just stroke it along the edge.
That's cool.
Nice, huh?
Yeah. That's definitely not more what I found out it.
No, I think that's a motorbike.
Yeah, thought so. No, done it. I think I overdid it a little bit, but okay. Well, now I just have to do the sky.
No, you didn't overdo that at all. It looks great.
What about this? Oh, I need to do more of the dark green because.
This brush also is a Rosemary's brush, and although I've been very critical of them recently, this one I do like. I think the synthetics are good. I just don't like the bristles. Bristle brushes seem not to last, but the synthetics are good. This is, I think, Ivory series. I like them because I like this one because it's long. You can make quite calligraphic marks with it.
You know the book that you got for me yesterday, like a couple of days ago?
Demon Dentist?
Yeah?
Yeah?
I finished it.
Whoa.
And it was actually pretty scary.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you think it was inappropriate?
Well, it wasn't really scary, but it was just like, I don't know how to explain it.
Worrying? Was it a bit worrying? Did it give you bad dreams?
No. It just makes me not want to go to the dentist anymore.
Oh, well, that's not good, is it?
Nope.
Why did it make you feel like that?
Because there was this person called Miss Root, and she took out someone called Alfie's, all of his teeth.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Miss Root.
Yep.
Sounds like a terrible woman. What do you think?
Yeah, because she is.
What do you think of the dentist? What are you going to say? What do you think of Zara?
She's good.
She's cool, huh?
Yeah. And also in the story, what was I going to say? She made a toothpaste that burns you.
No. What, deliberately?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because she's evil. And also.
But the book is called Demon Dentist, so you would kind of expect there to be a bit of that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And also, she gave out sweets to everyone, and everyone thought, she said that they had no sugar in, and then everyone rushed in, and then the next day everyone had tooth cavities.
No way. She gave people stuff that was bad for their teeth.
Yeah.
And she's a dentist.
Well, she's an evil dentist.
Evil dentist, right, yeah. Yeah, sounds pretty evil to me.
Now I have finished the volcano. Okay, I've finished the volcano now. Now I just have to go do the sky.
What I'm trying to get in now is, as it comes out to the edge, it must be because there's less light in there. The chroma drops. The value goes up very slightly, but it's mostly chroma drop, I think.
This.
Which is why I'm going over this.
Lamp. No, yellow. This is not a good one.
Maybe overdid it.
I finished the volcano now, Dad. Now I just have to do the sky, and I would have been done.
That's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Does it need to be light green over here? Is that?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
I swear it does.
Looks really good.
What? Yeah, it does, see.
Yeah, it's not this light though. I think this kind of comes down. I see what you mean. But I think it's like, where's the soft brush? Is it that one?
Yeah, I think it was that
See,
one.
I think it's kind of like it. This comes soft as well, so if you soften that bit too, you see how he's blended it? That's called blending. One into the other. Do you see? You've seen that really well though. They do get closer together there, don't they? You gotta be careful. You try doing it all the way. You see, and this dark green comes round to the bottom there. You see?
Oh, yeah.
It's nice, really nice.
Yeah. Oh no.
I need to go down a value here.
Oh my gosh. Is there any paint on my face?
No.
Okay, good. He's got it out. I'm gonna try to open it. I just want to
So this is where I was with these. I want to go down the value and keep the chroma. Like around here.
Oh, look at this guy.
this out of the way.
I think that's Mum. Let me just go check. I swear that is.
Dark brown, that's an interesting question. It looks a little more brown on the stream, I think, than it actually is. It's between brown and green. It's mostly because I'm looking at the colour that's there and trying to get somewhere near. Now, I might end up dropping the chroma of this at some point, but just lately I've been putting more chroma in the shadows, so what I use a lot is neutral painted boards that I then cast a shadow on, and it tends to, what it means is there tends to be more chroma in the shadow than the light because they're so low chroma to begin with, and then I think I probably intensify the chroma. I intensify the chroma a little bit. The hue, it's brown. Yeah, it's a greenish brown, and it has a bit of both in there. What's up? Did you mess something up?
Yeah, I forgot the cloud, or whatever that white thing is.
Hang on, let me have a look in a minute.
I forgot the clouds.
Oh, that's all right. You can, after this dries, you can put them over the top with white paint. No problem. Just paint it blue, because you've got to put the bits coming down there, the white bits coming down there as well. It's looking really good.
Yeah.
And then this will go a lot lighter, the sky too, when you put the clouds on. Don't worry about it. Just that paint dries quickly. Just let it dry, and then you can come back to it.
Okay. Now I need a darker blue because it gets dark. Does it? No, it doesn't. What is it?
Okay, I'm going to have a little break now. I may come back to it, but the sun has come in the room now, so I'm not sure how much further I'll go with it today. Also, I'm not sure if the rose is still going to be here tomorrow in the same position. May well have changed. It's been changing a little bit as I've been painting. Not too much, but a little bit. So I'm going to take a little break now, have a think about where it's going, because I didn't really have an idea in mind. To be honest with you, I've been too a little preoccupied with recent events and having trouble processing all of that. I'm just going to put in the light where the lightest part of this petal is going to go, because I want to see that against everything else. That sounded like you were trying really hard then.
Yep.
How'd it go?
I finished.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Except for the white bits?
Yep. But apart from that, then I finished.
It's fantastic.
It's alright, yeah.
When this is dry and you put the white bits on, that's going to make all the difference.
Yep. I think it looks alright, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good, dude. You've worked nice and slow and carefully, and I think you've done a really good job.
Okay.
Are you pleased with it?
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with
Yeah,
that.
you should be pleased.
This is for Cecil, so I need to take a photo of it later.
Right,
Okay. When I've done the white bits.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna. Sorry, I never really finished what I was saying, Karen. I'm probably going to bring this back more towards green. I may glaze over it. I'm not sure. And the next thing I want to do is to put the leaves in so I can see where they're going to fit. And perhaps. I'm not sure even if I'm going to continue working on it, or if I'm just going to see this as just a way that I might go. With some other pieces, I'm not sure. I have a lot of roses now, and I didn't need to paint today. Chroma on the stream actually looks a lot higher than the painting. I think it's possibly the. Let me try to make the stream look a little bit closer to what I'm seeing here. It's a little bit blown out, the light. Bring the chroma down a little. It's not actually as bright as it looks. I think it's coming. I think I'm a little bit having trouble focusing today. But it's an interesting start, something I might continue with later. Thanks very much for coming, everybody. And Blondine says, "Have your son's got your talents?" Well, I don't. I'm not sure how to answer that. To be honest, I don't really believe in talent. I believe in practice and knowledge and temperament, perhaps more than anything. Of my two sons, the one who was just in the room painting is pretty much the only time he's quiet is when he's on the screen or when he's painting. Apart from that, he's just like never stops. And the other son is much more like me, introverted, quiet. He can sit and read a book for hours and shows a strong tendency towards drawing. So I don't know. But they certainly, neither of them have inherited anything from my genes because they're both adopted. Although there is something called epigenetics, which says that which of your possible genes become activated can depend to an extent on your environmental experiences. So you could be born with a particular set of genes and only some will be activated. It's my own belief that we're going to find increasingly that nurture counts for much less than we think. They both love to draw and paint, yeah. If that's what you're asking. Yeah, they do. Among lots of other things. This is an interesting way to paint. You can do some of it just by taking the paint off. Tomorrow I won't be able to get the effects that I'm getting now because the oil will have dried. And this kind of softness against these hard edges, I won't be able to get that so well tomorrow. See, now I always get like this. I say I'm about to stop, and then immediately I start to think, well, if I'm going to stop now, I probably won't get back to it, so I should sort this bit out, I should sort that bit out. Sort out all the bits that are not right, that I can't change when it starts to dry and go tacky. And then I start fiddling for another hour. But I am actually going to sign off now. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon.